Hi, I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, your COVID-19 podcast.
Is this seat disinfected?
Yeah, you don't want to take somebody's seat because that would involve not practicing social distancing.
I'm all about social distancing. Yeah. I have been for a long. Actually, I find more people are interested in distancing themselves from me than I am distancing myself from them.
Yeah, I've been practicing social distancing since I was a gay kid in the 90s.
I've heard this joke. Oh, all right. You know what? I've heard that joke from like 50 other people, but I like that you threw in your personal coming out story.
Yeah, well, it was tough. So people kept their distance.
I mean, now that Grindr's around, though, social distancing is a thing of the past.
Grindr had the audacity to have a pop-up yesterday offering folks COVID-19 advice, including things like wash your hands, practice social distancing. I'm like, Grindr exists to limit social distancing.
The opposite of social distancing. My Lord.
I know.
Well, Ryan, you and I, we've talked before we jumped on these hot mics because so what we were supposed to, of course, today, finally get to your guide to Puerto Vallarta. But we were both struggling with the fact that it does seem sort of weird, awkward to talk about traveling right now in a time that's pretty serious and very uncertain.
Yeah, I mean, and also we don't think that folks necessarily, and this is a weird thing for us to say, but maybe now is not the time to do all that traveling.
No, right. I mean, it's funny because I actually was right on the cusp of booking our trip out to Yellowstone for June. And even as far out as June, it seems too uncertain to know whether you should pursue that sort of planning. And I have friends. Oh my gosh, I have a good friend who had just gotten to Spain the day that the European travel ban was announced. And so, because Trump said it wrong and said that all European travel flights were stopping, not that American citizens could get back. Right. You had people who paid. I saw online a story of somebody who paid tens of thousands of dollars for a coach seat out of panic.
Yeah, I have a colleague who was in Europe on vacation, and they had to get to London to get back because there was just no flights flying out of where they were in Europe.
Right. Europe. Well,
Europe.
I guess the British people have chosen for that distinction to be made. I mean, maybe it is worth just mentioning for a moment. We expect that these stories are gonna change fairly rapidly, but this European travel ban appears to be fairly decided and locked for 30 days at least. So the countries that are affected are Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. And what I thought was really interesting was that you can still get in and out of Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, or Romania.
Yeah, but those are countries known for their public health services. Strong governments. I'm sure it's really great.
No, but the twist is that none of those countries have direct flights. You have to go through mostly Frankfurt, but apparently
Germany has a few cases of COVID. I saw. So
you got Angela Merkel out there saying it's going to be 60 or 70% of the population. Right. Apparently, you can still fly though through Istanbul, through London to get to Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, or Romania. So I
look forward to next week's episode on Bulgaria in the time of pandemics. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think you and I are both people who love traveling, but also dreaming of the next trip to take. And I'm definitely feeling like a punch in the gut, not only because I'm scared of getting COVID-19, but also because it feels like one of my primary hobbies and interests is kind of being stripped away.
Yeah. I mean, in how quickly things happened. Last week when I had Hannah Sampson on, we talked about, what it was like for the Louvre to be shut down and how extraordinary that was. Well, fast forward 1 week and basically every major cultural institution in Europe and the United States has been shut down, right? It is unbelievable.
That's right. And I mean, that's what you think. Even if you were traveling within the United States, every museum, Broadway shows are shut down.
We know that our audience is deeply concerned about what happens on Broadway.
They're like,
Broadway shut down. Great.
Yeah, finally, something good from this. One interesting article that I will link to in the show notes, and this is going to get to what we'll speak about in the next episode. What is Travel and Leisure put together a list of 12 famous museums that offer virtual tours on their websites. Oh. And so if you've ever wanted to, admire the Rosetta Stone
on your monitor,
clicking an arrow like you're walking in front of it, it's kind of a hoot to take a look at these. But you know what? If you're really desperate, these things can get you through.
Yeah, I mean that sounds a little depressing to me. Also, Kiernan, this has been a banner time for people who don't like cruises.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a banner time to just sit back and be like, told you so,
I heard they considered changing the name to the Cruzona virus, which I thought it was very catchy.
The Cruzona, I like that.
I know. I think also Corona, the beer, would have been very thankful. They'd probably pay the medical establishment to rebrand it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no one's talking about COVID-19, the video game, or something. No, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like Budweiser might be secretly behind the branding of this particular virus.
Yeah, that is actually very possible. Or like Modelo, or like a real Mexican beer.
Now, I have to ask, right, in the next month or 6 weeks, are you planning on traveling? Personally, I do not have any trips booked. Luckily, I'm home on paternity leave. I was already going to be locked in my house most of this time. Now I just had the only thing that changes is that the Purell is right by the door instead of on the diaper mat.
Yeah, well, I'm undecided. I'm supposed to come see you in a couple weeks.
That's true.
I'm supposed to. I was going to Dollywood, which is so far. They're going to stay open.
Yeah. Are they really? You've got Disneyland closing and you Dollywood staying open.
Yeah, Dollywood at this point is saying, "Hey, we're gonna stay open." But again, this was 2 days ago when they announced that. So by the time this episode airs, it's very possible that they could be closing. But as of today, you could go to Dollywood this weekend. I'm just checking; it is open.
And do you actually have those things booked?
We have the Airbnb, but not the tickets yet.
I imagine Airbnb is probably going to be harder to get a refund from. The airlines have been fairly understanding. The problem is the actual
wait times.
To
get somebody on the phone.
Mechanisms to get the discounts or refunds. Exactly.
Yeah.
And also there's no. I'm rather surprised that as an industry they didn't get together to create some ground rules. It seems that if you have some flights booked, the best resource is the direct airlines website, and then just trying to get through to a human being who can actually help you either rebook or refund.
Right. And that's what Hannah recommended last time, that folks call, and that these policies are rapidly evolving. I know that I've had friends who've been in fights with cruise ships to get their money back. Friends who have gotten hotels refunded that normally would have not been refunded by just calling and saying, look, literally a global pandemic.
Right. So, there's really nothing I could do in this.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? Oh, and a lot of small businesses, we were talking about this earlier, these smaller hotels, smaller restaurants that have really thin margins are just really suffering from the lack of international travel. My friend who, owns Casa Cupola boutique hotel down in Puerto Vallarta has just seen a huge drop in reservations because a lot of corporations are just not allowing their their staff to travel internationally at all. So folks are just canceling like crazy.
So if you are traveling, if whether overseas or probably more likely domestically, it's hard to know what resources to trust for more localized recommendations of how you should be acting. And one recommendation that I've got is that you should really be paying attention to local health boards or even state level, especially in small states that can give you more specialized information than sort of what's coming out of the CDC, for example.
Yeah, and also like local media, right? Like if you go into a town, you go into a state, check out the local newspaper because they might have some information that's important that isn't being shared nationally.
Yeah. And Ryan, so this leaves us, we've already broken the format. We're not going to take off today. We're not going to do a last stop today because we really just wanted to get on and talk about, this mess. And so it leaves open the question of what we want to do for our next upcoming episodes as this unfolds.
Yeah, I think, we both feel that it's just inappropriate to kind of go through usual, travel stories and places to go because of what's happening. So I think next week what we want to talk about, and what we will talk about periodically until, knock on wood, this comes to an end, will be ways to spend your coronavirus quarantine time that can still keep travel and that spirit of wanderlust alive.
That's right. So next week, we will come back and talk about ways to feed your wanderlust when you're stuck at home. So this will be books, movies, maybe web attractions that you're not familiar with.
Attractions.
Web attractions like the virtual
I know
tours
what you're talking about. Thrilling.
But we're all going to have a lot of time, and at some point we're gonna have to stop being depressed about not being able to travel, and we're gonna have to re-up and fill that spirit of wanderlust, and we're gonna aim to be the podcast that helps you do it. And once things get a little more normalized, a little more settled down, that's when we'll go back to our more heavily researched travel guides and deep dives into the topics, philosophies, strategies of things like choosing the best travel companion, the best suitcase, the things that we're really well known for. So the very last call I'd say, Ryan, is we should ask our listeners here if you've got anything that you want us to cover during this time where we're leaning back away from the heavier topics that people, just frankly are too preoccupied to listen to right now. If you've got a question you want us to tackle, or maybe a fun idea for a lighter episode that will just keep you entertained while you're in your 14-day waiting period, or maybe even, who knows, by that time stuck in a federal quarantine gym.
Oh, God.
Oh, I mean, listen, this is the way it's going, man. Give us an email, shoot us an email, or slip into those DMs. And the email, Ryan, is, of course, outofofficepod@gmail.com.
outofofficepod@gmail.com.
So, Ryan, we better start digging into our watch lists and taking the books down from the shelves and figuring out what we are going to recommend to feed the spirit of wanderlust while you're on lockdown.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. As folks know, I like to carry around a lot of books, so I'm going to have some recommendations for things that are both, I think, sort of viral related, right? Some good old quarantine.
I don't know. You want to say it that way.
I do. That was intentional. And then some things that are not, both take your mind off of the problem and then, also confront it. That's my life, Kiernan.
Great.
Well, until then, I'm washing my hands all the time, and I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, your periodic coronavirus podcast.
This seat disinfected. And Ryan, I thought maybe here, because we should play our theme song for the full length of time you're supposed to be washing your hand. So Ryan, let's end by playing a sustained, CDC says 20 seconds. I think we should do a full 30 seconds of the Out of Office theme song to help our listeners.
I think that sounds great.